Okay, thanks for letting me borrow this machine, the Syntakt. Had it a few weeks, recorded an album plus pros and cons. I like to play in the dark under red light. And now, yeah, for fun. But I do sometimes do theater work where I have like a little synthesizer and I'm somewhere in the back of the audience and I might just have a tiny red light. These literally disappear in the dark under red light, the red on the black.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the silliest thing I could come up with for a con. Pro. So there's a con. Here's a pro. I just like the build quality and the black cube. It's like Mecca. Like you can just put it in the middle and have the rest of what's going on, like your trumpet and your saxophone and other keyboards and different things going on. Controlling like the MIDI clock from this is really great. Controlling other aspects with MIDI, like whether it sends signals to stop your other machines or let them continue to run. I noticed it would still latch onto the tempo. Like you could stop this and the tempo would keep everything going. My looping pedals, the other analog drum machine. That was great. I love the lights. So again, yeah, playing in the dark for my own like fun and YouTube content. The flashing lights are so great. Like it'll flash white and then it'll flash red, the same spot, and just it's really dynamic, like a little light show.
I think lights on synthesizers is a really underrated thing.
Uh-huh.
It's really nice to see blinking lights.
Yeah, and it has like a quality and character, and they change color and it there's information too. Like the color, it says something. I haven't had enough time with this to know what that is, but you know, it's something you would get to know. And yeah, regarding my comment about these, again, you just learn a machine like this. Like it's an instrument. Like I mentioned, saxophone. It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Something like this, it could become something that, like the piano in your living room, you're not really going to change that exactly.
But I think saxophone's a really interesting comparison for this because the designers, both of the saxophone and of this instrument, trying to make something that would fit naturally with people already knew with saxophone, of course, the clarinet. But with this synthesizer, they're really aiming for people who either already know the Elektron workflow or already have a bunch of concepts of synthesizers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. I mean, you're teaching me something. Clarinet is an older instrument, and the saxophone came out of that lineage, tradition. Yeah, that's cool.
So right, the
right.
first Elektron box, from memory, without fact checking this, is that was in this form factor was the Digitact,
Really?
which is a sampler, and the Syntakt obviously is a synthesizer, and they made other boxes with the same form factor, the Digitone, now the Digitact 2 and the Digitone 2.
Yeah.
But even before that, they had other machines that had a lot of similar concepts with the sequencer.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What else? Okay, going back to the con, and maybe this is a pro and a con. It sort of has like a vanilla kind of sound, or it's a little bit canned, but you can get in there and change things, of course. Again, though, vanilla is fantastic because it's not just this all by itself, but there are other things. And I really liked having some of these clear drum sounds while I'm recording other stuff that's a little like noisy and whatnot. And my analog seems a little bit lo-fi, my Arturia Drum Brute, which I really like playing, and I can get stuff that sounds great. But you know, different sounds just kind of pop out in a really nice way. So it is a nice added thing. And I had a great time with that album that I made, the Syntakt vagabond where I'm just using this and my Arturia was getting repaired, mailed out.
Right. So if we just give a comparison between the sound design possibilities of this machine and your Novation Summit, right? The Novation Summit really has a knob per function control, a lot of depth in what you can do with sound design.
Yeah.
That a machine like this doesn't really offer. This machine's kind of offering a bunch of little synthesizers with a few parameters that you can change on each, and then really it's up to you to try and find sounds that work well enough for your context. Whereas with the Summit, of course it's a keyboard instrument, but also you can dive into sound design to pretty insane degrees.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What inspired you to get this? Why are you sure you want to part with it?
Yeah, so the story goes back to an earlier Elektron box, the Octatrack, which I bought because some friends who were into synthesizers at the time told me that it was like Ableton Live in a box. It was at a period of time in my life where I was very down on using the computer for music making outside work. And I really wanted something that would get me out of the computer workflow. And so the idea of Ableton Live in a box, I was like, yes, definitely need that.
And that was the Octatrack, or you already had the Octatrack?
I got the Octatrack. That's the Ableton Live in a box type thing.
Gotcha.
Of course, now you can buy it Ableton Push 3, which is kind of Ableton Live in a box. I have one of those too. But so Octatrack has 8 tracks of sampling, but then it also has 8 tracks of MIDI. And I was looking for something that would do sort of synthesis and 8 tracks of synthesis fit really nicely with the Octatrack. So yeah, we got the Octatrack here. You can see it's a similar sort of device, but a different form factor. And yeah, it's older. It's well loved. You can see there's some of the key tops are worn down and have dust stuck in them. But it was really a companion to the Octatrack, and I did use the Syntakt a lot on the Wizard Peter album, which is called The Colorful Path, and a lot of really important sound design happened there.
I could see the Syntakt being on the left. Is that right? If you're right-handed, how did you pair them physically?
Yeah, I think they could go either way. To be honest,
All right.
I think on the left makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's a lot of people online who use multiple Elektron boxes at once. It's a very common electronic music pattern. But you can see there's a common design language here. You've got the arrow keys, the sequencer buttons, the encoders.
That's nice.
The crossfader is a unique Elektron Octatrack feature that doesn't really appear on other devices.
Yeah.
It's sort of DJ inspired.
Yeah, right. I could see you rocking out with that.
But it really doesn't do the same thing as the DJ crossfader. It can, but the Octatrack's a whole nother can of worms. So really, I think the Syntakt was filling a gap for me in terms of a synthesizer or drum machine that could do more than one voice conveniently. And it never quite, although I used it a lot, I guess, I never quite felt like it was doing exactly what I hoped it would. And I think maybe now I'm seeing it a bit more in terms of if I were to keep it and not sell it to you today, then it would really be my analog drum machine.
Yeah, which we all need.
Um,
I mean, I have one that I'm happy with, so go ahead.
Well, right. Well, analog and digital drum machine, but maybe you could say like synthesized drum machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for that, it's really excellent. I guess there's one frustration that I found, which is that you can't really do polyphonic stuff. So if you want to play some chords, there's like the chord machine,
Mm-hmm.
or you can set up several tracks and take different MIDI tracks and then kind of do something polyphonic with that. But you can't just, like on a keyboard synthesizer like I have one here, you can't just smash your fingers down and get a chord. That's not an option really conveniently on the Syntakt.
That by the way is one of the huge pros. Being able to hook up two more instruments, mono in my case, or one stereo instrument, and then use the effects that are here too. The effects are timed with this rhythm, the delay. Also, really love that the USB. It's class compliant, whatever. So with my phone or tablet, I can just plug this straight into there, and I'm recording. You don't need the extra. What do you call that box? The interface.
Yeah. So the other place this really does shine is with overbridge feature.
Oh yeah.
Which lets you get a plug-in in your DAW, plug it by USB, and you've got all the tracks coming out into your DAW. For those of you who use DAWs, I know John, you don't, but
I'm in that earlier phase of your life.
Right.
So tell me why. How did you find your way back to music with the computer?
Well, that's a really interesting thing, and it's interesting that we're sitting on the floor right now because we've gotten a comment previously about the ergonomics of sitting on the floor, and the answer really is about ergonomics. So I had some postural problems that caused some sort of recurring pain and phantom sensations when I was sitting at the computer, hunched over. And by fixing those postural problems with a long course of physical therapy, actually I found I could use the computer comfortably more.
Yeah.
And then gradually over time, using the computer became, fun again outside when I needed to do it at work. And so I gradually have drifted back to using the computer, and there's some things that you really can't beat a computer for in digital audio workstations, despite the fact that I have one right here that does multiple tracks. And,
right. This is a computer too, but we're talking about a traditional something with a screen and
right. And you can do a digital audio workstation on an iPad. There's like GarageBand and many other apps that do the similar thing. So I think it's also it's really personal preference at this point, and I think there's no rules. And if for a while, like DAW-less jamming was like a big sort of meme in the synthesizer world.
Like you're cool, like it's indie or what?
Absolutely, yeah, it was cool. I think, at least from my perspective, it was a thing that people were doing that was really cool, and I think there is something to it. Like if you imagine the traditional rock band, they show up on stage, they play, you can see them playing their instruments. There's that immediate sort of sonic visual connection. And I think there was a little while when laptops first came around when people were like, I'll just show up on stage with a laptop. Mm-hmm. And that turned out to be quite a downer for the audience participation. Like, is that guy up there checking his email? And so I think that kind of expanded a little bit to even the bedroom production or the YouTube production. But I think we've come full circle in some ways. Like there's definitely things that are as powerful as those computers that were first showing up on stage that hide in these little boxes.
Certainly.
And now it's I see it less of a important defining choice to not bring a laptop, and more of like a using the right tool for the job type thing. And I think for studio usage, a laptop's great.
Yeah. But you're right. This is as powerful, more powerful than laptops that I've owned, and it does have a little screen. And the difference here is there isn't like a screen hiding your fingers. Like when someone is performing on this, like you see somebody, oh, okay, what do they do? Maybe not too much. The preparation could have been done like at home. That's something that's a little outside of my comfort zone, I suppose. But hey, why not? Like have fun doing that, creating some patterns and things, and then working with them and performing them. And
yeah, I think it's also a little bit about different musical personalities. Like, I think, some people are kind of composer personalities, and they sit and they work for a long time, and then the result is something at the end. And then there's sort of more the improviser personality, where you show up, maybe the slate is blank to begin with, and then something is created out of that. Like, just between us, I sense like I'm more the composer personality,
mm-hmm.
you're a bit more of the improviser personality.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It is composing, but it's doing it right away.
Yeah, and certainly there's a big difference between sitting there programming something and then maybe also playing it in while record's going and then going back and editing it. I think usually there's a bit more life if you do it the second way. So I think.
Oh, well, this bridges that a little bit, where you're tweaking these sounds and going like, oh, that's just right. Like getting a massage, like, oh yeah, these tones and coming up with a palette of tones for a particular pattern. And then on the fly, when you hear like, oh, I want to take out the bass drum, like do a quick, take that out, mute it, things like that, change things up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely a lot of space in this instrument for preparing ahead of time, and you can use it that way. And if you want to do completely from scratch, that's a little harder. Not saying you can't really do it, but there are certain features like if you change patterns to a blank pattern, then all your song will stop. So there's a little bit of that, like you have to sort of zone yourself into the right space of using the instrument if you're going to be trying to play a piece of improvised music that goes continuously.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So, just that's sort of how I would start with my Arturia, and like, okay, what just happened? I don't know. I hear something else. I'm just being sloppy. Yeah, I mean, I love that the default is not quantized because it's spitting back what you did, and then you can go there and not that one. F, right? But anyway, yeah.
So I guess one of the sort of thoughts I had with loaning into this instrument is like, in terms of pros and cons, like it's kind of deep,
yeah,
especially compared to the Drumbird, say. But did you feel like that was rewarding or frustrating?
Absolutely. I printed out a manual, 100 and some pages, and it's one of these things where you would want to have it set up and just like, okay, page 1, and listen at the same time, and kind of read up until you don't understand, and then try it like as you go along.
All right.
Because if I just read it, I don't know what I'm reading. Like, what is all this? But no, it's very, very satisfying.
Yeah, because I see you just jumped into the quantize menu there, and I was like, oh, it's not really a feature I had in the front of my head.
Typically you wouldn't do like the live way of doing it, where you let it go and you play, like you would do it as a grid. So that's something I'm not familiar with, but this is a nice way to have it like 16 here and to just, the other way, right? Mm-hmm. Which we demonstrated in an earlier video. Anything else to say, like pros and cons?
I mean, I think the reverb is pretty good.
I love it.
It's not the best reverb that we have, you know.
But when a guitar is going, when other things, it's
Yeah.
like, what
Yeah.
more could you want? Yeah.
That's a very good point. You know, in a mix, no one's going to be whining about your reverb tails.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a lesson I need to take a bit more seriously myself. But the other effects, though, you know, are all very usable, very nice. I love the analog drive and even the digital drives on each voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a fan of crunch in my sounds, and that definitely delivers. So overall, I think the sound is very good. It's just a little bit confined to a certain corner of sound space, and it's really what's on the tin. You know, if you're looking for, you know, your grand piano emulation, or, you know, string section sample multi samples, this is obviously not the device for you. But, you know, it does do a lot of the classic synthesizer sounds and classic drum machine sounds very well.
Yeah. It cuts through and does a great, incredible job as a drum machine.
Yeah. Like I say, you know, on the Wizard Peter album, there were some times when I was looking for a kick drum, and around the many options I had, eventually came back to the Syntakt and, you know, programmed something in. It was just like, all right, I've got this drum set from Ableton Live, and the kick drum needs to be a bit more something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found that on the Syntakt, and I was like, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm seeing people online with the Digitone. I said J.
okay.
Not Diga. Getting rid of this now, like in favor of the Digitone, and even somebody showing like, well, I can emulate these with the FM synth.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds almost exact. You know, if it's a pure like taste test, I do notice, like, even I'm just watching through my phone speakers, there is something a little special about an analog sound. I could still, I think I was perceiving it. You know, it's nice that it's really analog.
So yeah, it's definitely hard for me to come down hard on one side of the analog digital divide of sound design.
Mm-hmm.
But for this particular machine, I think there's something special about the analog tracks that the digital tracks don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, probably if the you know, skilled digital emulators at Universal Audio or Native Instruments tried to emulate these in a plugin, probably sound exactly the same. But for the purposes of this machine, there's the digital machines are really great, and the analog machines just have a little bit of interesting sparkle that the digital ones don't quite have.
Mm-hmm. True. So, yeah, in taking a close look at this, but really, I've just scratched the surface. I'm not going to make you an offer to buy it. I'm pretty certain I'm going to get a Digitact 2 for my Christmas present.
A Digitact, so the sampler.
The sampler. It already comes preloaded with some sounds. And so out of the box, it's like a fantastic drum machine with a lot of depth. But the fact that you can just plug in, here I am, the cool Dallas guy. You know, I was actually looking at the Digitact manual, and like there's a section like recording through the inputs. So to just record a synth or record from a field recording, anything, that's, for some reason, I got really excited about that. Like, you opened me up to something like totally different. Like, I was very hesitant. I remember one time you said, okay, you handed this to me, like, you're going to borrow this, John. And I was like, no, I'm not. Not because I want to just resist. I was like, I looked at it and was like, Yeah, well, I don't know what that is. I don't know.
I remember
don't-
that moment.
I don't think I'm gonna do anything with that. You know.
Yeah. So I, it's fine. You don't want to buy it. No problem. I like I say, it's a great instrument, so I'm
Yeah.
happy to keep it in my
I'm
possession.
gonna keep it, yeah.
But I'm also very glad to hear that something about the Elektron workflow has captured your imagination, and I think the Digitakt 2 will be an amazing instrument, and in some ways might be more complementary to your Drumbert, which is
Mm-hmm.
going to give you those analog scope of sounds, and then Digitakt can, if you want to have a lo-fi timpani sound,
Yeah.
Or even a hi-fi timpani sound, I'm sure. But
and I'll keep a little space open in case Arturia makes a Drum Freak, an FM drum machine.
all right, well, if you're listening, Arturia, this is our suggestion to you.
Yeah.
The Drum Freak.
All right. Thanks.